Welcome back, and hello if you are new, my friends. I hope that everyone has had a fantastic week, but as much as I might worship death metal, I also enjoy some of the softer side of things, which is where this next band come in. So this is a band that are hailing from Wales and really made a huge mark on their debut album, which was the self-titled Holding Absence record. But with kind of everything to prove and, a lot of pressure was on for this album, the band have returned with their sophomore effort that is the greatest mistake of my life. I know I'm out of sight, but am I out of mind? And when I close my eyes and dream. So if you're not familiar with Holding Absence, they're probably one of the sort of brightest sparks of UK talent at the moment. The band released their previous self-titled album, and although there were fantastic songs on there, there was definitely some room for improvement. Thankfully, that has completely happened on The Greatest Mistake of My Life. The biggest change, I think, has been the focus on songwriting and particularly dynamics. There's so many little things here and there where it might be, like the band pulling back the guitars to allow for a bit of clean singing or even clean guitar, and it just pushes the song forward ever so slightly further. And it kind of creates a bit of tension as well. But usually what will happen is there'll be a pause or, like a break here before they go in for the kill, which are those huge choruses, as you can see on Beyond Belief. Beyond belief that I could ever feel. There's so much more to it all. The album flows really well with lots of peaks and valleys and has a real sense of cohesion and definitely a sense of the cinematic as well, because they have these they're almost like soundscapes that tie every song together. Holding Absence also understand even more to do with adding space, and I think with that in mind, In Circles is a great example, because there are some sections where the bass kind of has enough room to breathe. They've also written probably my favourite individual song of the year, which is Afterlife. And it's a masterclass in tension and release and has such a great journey throughout its, 4 minutes? As each verse kind of progresses, the vocals get a little bit more aggressive, the drums hit a little bit harder, the guitar kind of comes in a little bit more, but then they pull it back in that bridge where they've got this sort of acoustic bit, it gets a bit more emotional, and then they go in for that final punch, which is basically like a halftime version of the chorus before the drums speed up, and then it ends on this massive kind of boom. There's also, for me, I think a huge amount of influences that are on display here. There's stuff which ranges from The Cure, Joy Division, to Turnover, and even On Drugs and Love in particular reminds me of Seosin. But at the same time, it's all very much quintessentially Holding Absence. And with this being an album that is essentially based around the idea of love and a love for life, to quote Iggy Pop, there's definitely a lust for life on this album, and you can feel that from the moment that you hear the first song, Awake, into Celebration Song, where Lucas kind of like screams out, I'm alive. I'm alive! But the thing is that it's kind of woven into the fabric of this album. It's not just necessarily kind of like an individual song or anything like that. Like, I just feel like you can really feel it throughout the listen. And whilst, there are happy moments on here, there's also kind of more melancholic, contemplative moments, which were some of my favourite kind of things on the first album, like Marigold, for example. I thought was a really fragile and quite vulnerable song. Really, it's a fitting metaphor that Holding Absence have decided to ditch that black and white aesthetic for something that is clearly vibrant and hugely more in colour, cinematic, everything, because that's exactly what's happened with their sound. And the band have improved tenfold, proving that they are, in fact, really reaching that potential of being one of the UK's brightest young acts. So I hope you guys enjoyed this album review. And of course, if you do feel like supporting the channel, I've got my Ko-fi page, as you can see. Any support is always hugely welcome. And I know it's a bit of a different change of pace from my normal death metal stuff, but I think Holding Absence really deserve to have to be talked about. Thanks ever so much for watching. I'll see you guys next week for another album review. Take care, my friends. I'll speak soon.